Hey everyone, get ready for 11 minutes of True Crime with Crime 11 podcast.
Oh, yeah.
It's episode 8.
8 already, wow.
And we're diving deep into the chilling story
Oh, this is a good one.
of the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. Buckle up because this one's a wild ride.
It really is. I mean, you've got a, brilliant mathematician living off the grid, waging a one-man war against technology.
Yeah.
It's like something straight out of a movie.
It's crazy. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Who was Ted Kaczynski before he became, the infamous Unabomber?
Well, he was born in Chicago in 1942 to Polish-American parents.
Mm-hmm.
And get this, he was, apparently a happy baby
Okay.
until a severe case of hives led to isolation when he was just a few months old.
Wow, that's a tough start.
Yeah.
So how did that early isolation, how did that impact him?
Well, his parents noticed that
Yeah.
he became increasingly withdrawn
Oh, wow.
and unresponsive in social situations.
Mm-hmm.
They even considered enrolling him in a study.
Really? For autistic children.
Right.
But ultimately decided against it.
That's fascinating. It makes you wonder how that early experience might have shaped, his later life.
Oh, for sure.
But here's the thing. This seemingly withdrawn child was a genius.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking a 167 IQ score as a child.
Whoa.
Skipping grades,
Yeah.
excelling academically.
Smart guy.
He was accepted to Harvard at the age of 15.
15. Can you imagine going to Harvard at that age?
I can't know.
Talk about being thrown into a pressure cooker.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
And you have to wonder,
Yeah.
did that prestigious environment,
Yeah.
while nurturing his intellect, also exacerbates his feelings of social isolation?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And speaking of Harvard,
Oh,
that's where things take a really dark turn.
okay.
At Harvard, Kaczynski participated in a controversial psychological study
Uh-oh.
where students were asked to write essays about their deepest personal beliefs.
And then subjected to intense verbal attacks and psychological monitoring. It was all filmed and later replayed to the participants.
Yeah. That study was, highly unethical by today's standards.
Oh, yeah.
You can't help but wonder about the psychological impact it might have had on Kaczynski, especially given his, already fragile social state.
Right, and it's interesting because Kaczynski himself claimed that the study didn't influence his later actions. But it's hard to ignore the fact that it involved, themes of manipulation, control, and the exploitation of personal beliefs.
Absolutely. It's a piece of the puzzle we can't just dismiss.
No.
Now, despite this experience,
Right.
Kaczynski continued to excel academically.
He did, yeah.
He earned a PhD in mathematics from
Yeah.
the University of Michigan,
What?
taught at UC Berkeley,
He was at Berkeley.
and even won a prestigious prize for his dissertation.
So he was clearly a brilliant mathematician.
Definitely.
But then something shifted.
What happened?
In 1966, at the age of 24,
Okay.
Kaczynski struggled with his gender identity
Wow.
and expressed a desire to transition to female. He even scheduled an appointment with a psychiatrist,
Right.
but changed his mind at the last minute.
This period was a turning point for him.
Oh, wow.
Kaczynski himself described feeling reborn after this experience,
Interesting.
but it was also marked by the emergence of violent thoughts towards the psychiatrist and others.
Oh, no.
It makes you think about the internal conflict he must have been going through and how it might have contributed to his growing anger and disillusionment.
Yeah, definitely. And then in 1971, he makes a drastic move.
What's that?
He leaves Berkeley and retreats to a remote cabin in Montana,
A habit.
built with his brother,
Oh, wow.
with no electricity or running water.
Really?
He wanted to live a simple, self-sufficient life, embracing a philosophy known as primitivism.
Right. And this move to Montana wasn't just about, escaping society.
Yeah.
It was a deliberate rejection of the modern world
Yeah.
and its technological advancements. It was a key step in his radicalization, a move that would ultimately lead him down a path of violence and terror.
And that brings us to the bombings.
The infamous Unabomber attacks. Between 1978 and 1995, Kaczynski mailed or hand-delivered 16 bombs,
16.
targeting universities, airlines,
Wow.
and individuals he saw as symbols of technological progress.
It's terrifying to think about the meticulous planning that went into these attacks.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't just lashing out.
Right.
He was strategically choosing his targets to send a message.
Exactly. He was targeting people he believed were, directly contributing to the advancement of technology, which he saw as the root of all evil.
So who were some of his victims?
Well, his first bomb targeted a professor at Northwestern University.
Okay.
Thankfully, the professor became suspicious of the package
Oh,
and called campus security.
good thinking.
A security officer was injured when it detonated.
That's chilling. It's a stark reminder that Kaczynski's actions had real and devastating consequences.
Absolutely. He later targeted people like Percy Wood, the president of United Airlines. Oh, wow.
And computer store owner Hugh Scruton. Even geneticist Charles Eckstein was targeted.
It's a disturbing pattern. He was going after people in positions of power and influence within industries he saw as contributing to the technological system he despised.
He saw them as like cogs in a machine that was destroying humanity's connection to nature and true freedom.
But how did he justify these horrific acts? What was his end game?
Well, in 1995, Kaczynski sent letters to several media outlets offering to stop the bombings if they published his 35,000-word essay
35,000 words.
called Industrial Society and Its Future.
Wait, so he basically held the world hostage with his manifesto.
It was a bold and desperate move. His essay provided a detailed critique of technology, outlining his radical ideology and his vision for a return to a primitive way of life.
It must have been a tough decision for the FBI to agree to publish it.
It was, but they hoped it would lead to his capture, and it did.
How so?
Kaczynski's brother, David,
Recognized his writing style in published essay
right?
and contacted the FBI.
Wow.
It must have been an incredibly difficult decision for him.
Oh, I bet.
But it ultimately led to Kaczynski's arrest in 1996.
So the FBI finally had their man after nearly 2 decades of terror.
Yes. They found him living in his remote cabin in Montana, a stark contrast to the technological world he so vehemently opposed.
It's a truly bizarre and unsettling end to a complex and disturbing story.
Yeah.
A brilliant mind, warped by isolation and radical ideology,
Right.
ultimately brought down by his own words.
It makes you wonder, was he insane?
Yeah.
Or was he simply a man who took his beliefs to a terrifying extreme?
Yeah, it's a question that's haunted this case from the beginning.
It really has.
Was Ted Kaczynski truly insane?
Right.
Or was he a man driven to extremism by his convictions?
It's a complex question.
It is.
During his trial, Kaczynski was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia.
Oh, wow.
But he vehemently rejected that label.
He did?
Yeah, he saw it as an attempt to discredit his ideas.
Oh, okay.
And dismiss him as simply crazy.
Interesting.
Exactly. He wanted to be seen as a revolutionary, not a lunatic.
Yeah,
And that's what makes this case so fascinating.
it really is.
His writings, while extreme, are often articulate and well-reasoned.
Yeah,
He wasn't just ranting.
right.
He was presenting a carefully constructed critique of modern society.
So how do we reconcile the brilliance of his mind with the horrific nature of his actions?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Some people believe he was a visionary, a man ahead of his time,
Okay.
who saw the dangers of technology before anyone else.
Okay.
Others see him as a cold-blooded terrorist who deserves no sympathy.
Right.
And there's probably some truth to both perspectives.
Yeah, I think so too.
We can acknowledge the valid points he raised about the potential downsides of technology without condoning his violence.
Of course, his methods were abhorrent. But his message, at its core, raises some important questions
It does, yeah.
about our relationship with technology
Yeah,
and its impact on our lives.
absolutely. Kaczynski forced us to confront the potential dark side of progress.
Yeah.
He made us question whether we are becoming slaves to the very machines that were supposed to liberate us.
Right. He made us think about, the erosion of individual freedom, the loss of privacy, and the increasing disconnect between humans and the natural world.
His story is a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the brightest minds can be twisted by ideology and that violence is never the answer.
So where do we go from here?
Right.
What can we learn from the legacy of the Unabomber?
I think the most important takeaway is the need for balance.
Yeah.
We need to embrace the benefits of technology while being mindful of its potential pitfalls.
Totally. We need to be critical thinkers, question our assumptions, and make sure technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
And we need to foster a sense of community, connection, and empathy to counter the isolation and alienation that can breed extremism.
The Unabomber story is a dark chapter in human history,
For sure.
but it's one we can learn from.
Definitely.
Let's use it as a catalyst for positive change, ensuring that technology remains a tool for good
Yeah.
and that we never lose sight of our shared humanity.
Well said. That's a powerful message to end on.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the chilling world of the Unabomber.
Absolutely.
Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.